Alright, hello everybody. Today what I want to do is I want to go over what we went over in class for anybody who's struggling with this stuff. And what I want to do is talk about interspecies relationships or interactions between organisms of different species, okay? So let's start with competition here. Now, what I really want you guys to take away from this is this right here. This is the notation that scientists use for interspecies interaction, okay? So what competition means here is we got a minus here, so that means harmed, right? And then this also means harmed. So with competition, you're going to have both species involved in this interaction. They're both going to be harmed. Think about it like this. You have maybe a pack of hyenas and a pack of lions, and they're fighting over a strip of land that they both need to survive. They're going to fight. Some of those organisms are going to die, okay? So competition, remember, it's a minus minus. Let's go ahead and move on to predation. As you can see, I have some notes written down already. So predation, take a look at the notation. You're going to have a plus minus. Plus means one species is benefited, and minus means the other species is harmed. Now let's look at this. You're going to have the predator, this owl here. He is going to be the plus. He is benefited from this interaction. And you also have this mouse here. The mouse is going to be harmed. He's being eaten. He's not able to reproduce, which is, essentially not very good for life, if you will. So that's basically predation. You have a plus and a minus. You're going to have one species benefited from the interaction and one species harmed. Keep in mind, parasitism is an interaction that we still consider predation. Okay? And we'll learn a little bit more about that in a little bit. Let's move on to our next one. We have mutualism. Take a look at the notation. We have plus plus, so that means species 1 is gained, species 2 is gained, okay? And here in this interaction here, we learned a little bit about it earlier. We have an oxpecker, and our oxpecker is actually going to eat parasites off of the rhino's skin, and the rhino is going to give a free ride, essentially, to the oxpecker. So both organisms gain from this interaction, thus the plus plus, okay? Think mutualism. Just think of the word mutual. Very important in this sense, right? And then on to our last one here, we have commensalism. Now, commensalism is something that's really interesting. Scientists are kind of actually struggling to define commensalism. We have a plus zero interaction. So let me explain to you what that means. We have the plus, so that means one organism gains from this interaction, and then we have a zero. So that means that one organism does not gain, nor does it lose anything from this interaction, okay? This is actually a really good example. This is actually just about the only example that scientists have a pretty firm understanding of in nature. We have, if you can take a look at this white substance here on this whale, and then here's the whale, and then here's the water of the whale. I don't know if you can really see that with this camera quality, but this white substance, those are barnacles. And what barnacles do is they essentially live on surfaces underwater. Barnacles typically show up on posts or on boats underneath the waterline, and they also live on whales. Now, barnacles, they gain from this interaction, okay? They're the plus in this interaction. And what that means is they are swimming, essentially they can't move by themselves, and the whale gets them through the water. And that constant movement of water helps them feed. They eat by taking things through their body, essentially. They're called filter feeders. So that movement is helping them eat. They are the gainers in this interaction here. So what about the whale? The whale really doesn't care. He's not benefited from this interaction, and he is most certainly not harmed by the barnacles. So that is what we have by commensalism, okay? We have one gained, the barnacles, because they're moving around, they're eating, which they can't do by themselves. And we have the not gained or not lost, or the zero. That is the whale in this case, okay? So let's go ahead and focus on number 5 here. We're going to walk through this step by step, how I would solve this problem. I want to read it. So After a warm winter and a very wet spring, there is an especially overabundant mosquito population in a given area. The mosquitoes gain nutrition and energy by sticking a long needle-like appendage into another organism and feasting on the blood of that organism. The organism that the mosquito is attached to typically exhibits a small, localized allergic response to the mosquito bite. Who's been bitten by a mosquito? I know I have. It's the worst. So let's break this down. First thing you want to do, identify which species are interacting with each other. So what I do is I read through, I say mosquitoes, okay, that's species number 1. And I also see, the organism that the mosquito is attached to. That is going to be species number 2. So now we know the 2 species. We want to know what's harmed, what's benefited, what's not being interacted with at all. Mosquitoes. They're gaining from this interaction, aren't they? They're gaining nutrition. But what about the other organism? Small localized allergic response, that's a minus. You're going to have a plus minus interaction here, right? Now think about what that is. Predation, right? Plus minus is always predation. So that's essentially what I wanted to do. I wanted to take this step by step for you guys so that you understand exactly what my expectations are for this kind of assignment. You will see this stuff on exams in the future, so I just wanted you guys to understand exactly what I'm looking for and how I solve these problems, all right? Best of luck to you guys.